So, Dr. McVeigh, who was your favorite leader or favorite during the Civil Rights Movement?
You asked that in the present tense as though I was fully alive and cognizant during the entire movement. I'm not that old, no. I do remember some of the leaders, and as a kid, watching from afar. I divide my favorites, if I can adopt the plural for a moment, into the preachers and sort of ordinary people. And both groups actually impress me. I'm intrigued by the fact that so many pastors and preachers are at the heart of the Civil Rights Movement. And of course, Martin Luther King Jr. is at the top of that list. A man that I enjoyed watching his later career was Andrew Young, because I grew up a bit in the South, and so I watched him as ambassador to the United Nations under Jimmy Carter and as the mayor of Atlanta. And it seemed to me that in watching him, I was watching someone bring the values of the Civil Rights Movement into the public sphere, and that was good to watch.
Much in the way that people understand Martin Luther King rallied together an entire group of people as, being a pastor, because they're in his church. The other ministers, they did the same thing to kind of help people come together and realize that as a group, this is something that we need to do together. They kind of helped them to realize that, this is a situation that we're in. There's a way out. And since we're all in the same situation, we're all of the same skin color, we all have an opportunity and in the same way an obligation to set ourselves free from this problem.
I'd have to say that my favorite leader was Martin Luther King. Even though it might sound like cliche, but seriously, when you really look at it, I'm not even an American, but then during that time, Martin Luther King, he actually bridged the gap for other countries too. It was not only here in America that gap was bridged, that white and blacks were like kind of getting unified. It was also like all over the world. Even in the Bahamas, we were taught about Martin Luther King, even in our schools, because like his "I Have a Dream" message, it was a very powerful message. It was when it's saying that he had a dream that one day, no matter which race we are all still one under God's eyes. That one day, that all of us will still be united under one God, one people. It wouldn't matter it wouldn't matter if my skin color, it wouldn't matter my race, matter where I was born. That one day I also have the same rights as the other man. That we will all be equal. We all have the same rights and same privileges.
Well, the first recollection that I have of the Civil Rights Movement came when I was about 10 or 11 years old. And it has to do with an event that I read about in the newspaper. The event was a march someplace in the South. I don't remember quite where it was. But the newspaper story included a description of the marchers being turned back with fire hoses and dogs. And that just shocked and horrified me to think about what people would do, what brutality they could turn against other human beings. Now later I came to understand what the Civil Rights Movement was all about. And now I have a great deal of respect and appreciation for the leaders and for the people who were with them in those days, going up against very serious threat to life and limb for the cause.
And another big thing that they did, just because understanding so much from the Bible that it's not about the color of your skin, it's not about really everything that was kind of in the way for African Americans at the time, they understood that there was a larger portion of unity that needed to be there. So that's something that they really pushed to emphasize in the church. And pushing that emphasis, or pushing that idea that we need unity as a country, we need unity all over, was something that I really respect.
Well, on the civil rights, there's a lot of leaders that I personally like people like Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. But to me, I think the people that really bridged the gap during the civil rights movement was the jazz musicians, the era known as the Harlem Renaissance. You had people like Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, Louis Armstrong, Miles Davis. You had these individuals with their music, they were able to bring Caucasians, African Americans, Hispanic. They were able to bring all these people together. And I felt like that was a significant moment, because for one night, you could throw all that racism aside and you could come and dance to bebop, whatever it was. You come and jam, listen to good music, sing. You know, I felt like that was really a significant moment. So I feel like sometimes these people don't get the credit they need, but these jazz musicians of that era were able to bring a huge awareness to the civil rights movement.
There's a little known figure named James K. Humphrey, who was actually a Seventh-day Adventist minister earlier, back in the 1920s and 30s. And he actually separated from the church later, but as we reflect on his story and reflect on the ways he sought to lead and why he separated from the church, that whole story actually helped give birth to what we call regional conferences today in 1945. And I think his story and his efforts within the Adventist Church to identify the rights for African Americans was important. And then there's the ordinary folks like Rosa Parks and so on that impressed me in some respects just as much because of their efforts.
And even sports figures, I look at people like Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson was a person who went out there and also fought for civil liberties, civil rights in the form of sports. He went out there, he broke the color barrier. How many people know that? But above all, to me, my favorite is Malcolm X. When I look at Malcolm X, you know, I feel like Malcolm X is one of those individuals where some people understand him and some people misunderstood who Malcolm X was. You know, people be like, Malcolm X was about 9 pounds. That's what they always teach us. But to me, people don't realize that towards the ending of his life, Malcolm X was changing around. He developed a new philosophy. He was trying to bridge the world together. And unfortunately, that mission was ended when he died in 1965. But Malcolm X, you know, they say MLK, one person that I think made a big movement was Malcolm X.
My favorite leader is Frederick Douglass, because I believe that he's a true icon of freedom. He came from slavery to true success, I believe. And one of his favorite quotes were, "I would unite with anyone to do right, but no one to do wrong."
But now you want me to choose one of those, right? One. So if I have to choose one, it's probably Martin Luther King Jr. because of his principled dedication to the idea of nonviolence and civil disobedience. Even though, you know, people tried to pull him away from that in different ways, his dogged commitment to those ideas and principles was, I think, at the heart of the success of the movement. And so I'd have to go with one of the preachers, Martin Luther King Jr.